Warning: do not use lethal force against a threat unless it is a home intruder who has a weapon and intends to do lethal harm to you. Using lethal force outside of your home or against unarmed intruders is usually illegal and can result in jail, prison, and high-cost legal fees. Please research your area's self-defense laws. Not to discourage people from using air guns, but if you have access to a firearm, just use a semi-automatic shotgun for self-defense. Everything in my list is above 53 foot-pounds of energy. It only takes 36 foot-pounds of energy to break the leg of a pig, so you can trust everything on this list. Avoid violence whenever possible and avoid dangerous people. Call the police. If you need to defend yourself against threatening family members or thieves, consider a pepper ball gun, a stun gun, or a BB gun. Also, you should always call 911. Think like a security guard, barricade yourself inside, monitor security cameras, and call the police. You may need to use lethal force in order to stop a person, since it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for the police to arrive. Before I begin teaching you about the top 10 PCP air guns for self-defense, this is the science of killing humans by headshot. It takes about 72 joules of energy to penetrate the human skull, which is about 52 to 53 foot-pounds of energy. In many cases, you will only need to shoot someone in the legs instead of the head in order to subdue them. Not all air rifles can be used for self-defense, but I'm going to go through this list in order to help you find one that can. The .22 short firearm pistol has 70 foot-pounds of energy, for example, and that is reliably enough in order to penetrate a skull. If you really need to know if your gun's going to penetrate a skull, just use 2 inches of pine wood. This concludes the introduction for why you should trust this list. These are the top 10 PCP air guns for self-defense. Out of the top 10 PCP air gun choices you should choose, this is number 10. Number 10 on this list is the B&W M50, the Aero Slug PCP air rifle. Reason why you might want to choose this is because it has a pointed tip with 400 foot-pounds of energy, enough in order to penetrate some Kevlar. Despite it being a bolt action, this air rifle has enough power to enter and exit the skull in one shot. You can get this air gun from Survival Air Guns for only $699. Number 9 on the PCP air guns for self-defense list. This one may surprise you. Introducing the FX Impact M3. This is a side lever action that is comparable to the .22 LR. FX also makes the FX Dreamline and the FX Crown. These are rifles that can go from a pellet gun to an arrow gun. The FX Airguns website claims that the FX Impact M3 is the most exciting and most accurate air rifle available. The FX Impact M3 in 357 has the same energy as a .22 LR. Both the .22 pistol and the .22 LR have the energy to penetrate a skull. You live on a big property and you need stealth and long range, this is the air rifle for you. The FX Impact M3 is the sniper rifle of the airgun world. Although the FX Impact M3 is primarily used for hunting and competition, it's still quite usable for self-defense and can load these pointed metal tipped pellets into the chamber as well with some modification. The true power of the FX Impact M3 is about 240 foot-pounds of energy. Using 95 grain pistol rounds, you can get up to 170 FP with full metal jackets. Moving on to number 8 for our PCP airgun for self-defense list. For those of you that don't want to settle for number 8 being a hot sun blitz with only 700 feet per second, this is the SK19 in 30 caliber. The SK19 has the 930 FPS with 30 caliber rounds, so it might be the one you want to go with. What people don't like about the SK19 is they can't remove the magazine. That means that reloading the gun takes too long to use in a self-defense situation. I chose the 30 caliber Hudson Blitz for number 8 on this list. You can get the Hudson Blitz in 30 caliber for only $800 right now, and it produces up to 53 foot-pounds of energy, which, as I said before, is the bare minimum required in order to penetrate the skull. Even if you were to use the pointed pellets in 25 caliber, I would personally only trust a 30 caliber in order to penetrate the skull. The Hots and Blitz 30 caliber makes number 8 on this list because it's full auto and it still has enough energy in order to be lethal. People have used the Hots and Blitz 30 caliber to hunt hogs. If you aim for the center of mass or the head, it'll be lethal. One of the greatest advantages to having a Hots on Blitz is its unique 33 round magazine upgrade. The 33 round magazine upgrade can be used 3 times with the air tank available. You can always switch air tanks in order to get up to 200 rounds and bring 6 magazines with you. It's quite a good primary weapon choice if you need something with lots of ammo. 100 rounds could come in handy if you're fighting off coyotes. The Hots on Blitz has a secret. It can use these 65 grain slugs. If the hammer spring is modified to accept these larger grain pellets, especially dishpan pellets, using 65 grain pellets traveling 700 feet per second will achieve 70 foot-pounds of energy. Even at 61 foot-pounds energy, if it were going a little slow with the flats, it'd still be lethal. It only takes 36 foot-pounds of energy to shatter the bones of a pig. So imagine 60 foot-pounds of energy at someone's leg. There are many people that would trust 53 foot-pounds energy to be able to penetrate the skull and be used in a self-defense situation. To use 65 grain pellets, you'll need to make modifications to the Hots on Blitz. You're high if you think that shooting someone in the body is more tactical than shooting him in the leg. I've been watching a lot of videos from police activity, and let me tell you, I haven't seen one video where they're shooting him in the body. I see him shooting him in the leg. I wouldn't trust 53 FPE above the knee, but anything below the knee is much more vulnerable to 53 FPE. I'll say this about the Hots on Blitz. If you can get 70 foot-pounds of energy, it's a good gun. What makes the Hots on Blitz 30 caliber such a viable weapon is it's starting to get to the amount of energy required in order to penetrate the skull for incapacitating a target quickly, but it also can be used tactically with that 33 round magazine to take out the legs. Since the magazine is removable, it makes it a much more desirable choice than some of the other full auto weapons available. For people who are more concerned about hitting the center of mass, they will probably choose a Hots on Blitz 30 caliber. If you're someone who believes that hitting the center of mass is the way to go, then the Hots on Blitz 30 caliber with 33 round magazine would probably be more useful. There are people in forums that have claimed to have used a Hots on Blitz to hunt boar by shooting it in the head. Not everyone is impressed with the Hots and Blitz, so let's move on to number 7 on my list. Starting at about $1,200, introducing the AEA Terminator 357. It's a semi-automatic air rifle. The AEA Terminator has 160 foot-pounds energy with an 82 grain pellet. It has 10 shots in the magazine with semi-auto. It might not be a full auto weapon, but if just one of these pellets hits someone in the head, it will likely give them an incapacitation rate of like 40%. You can hit 2 or 3 of them into them pretty quickly within about a second, and target's down. The AEA Terminator is a really great self-defense pick for the money. It's inexpensive and it works. Just last year in 2022, the AEA Terminator 357 was a top pick for self-defense among air gun users. It has the ability to disable legs, arms. It can incapacitate the target very efficiently if you were to go for a headshot. It is a really good air rifle for the price. You're only spending $1,200 instead of $2,000 or $3,000, and that's why it makes number 7 on my list. Can I get 200 FP with slugs? The AE Terminator and 357 might not be as accurate as the FX Impact M3, but it's still quite accurate at 100 yards and makes a decent hunting rifle for deer. The air guns are only going to get more dangerous. Moving on to number 6. At roughly $2,000, about the same price as the FX Impact M3, we have the Western Airguns Sidewinder. It's a full auto weapon. You can have 15 shots with the 25 cal or 12 shots with the 30 cal. The depth of the Sidewinder is 11.5 millimeters. The Western Airgun Sidewinder 30 caliber is the most powerful version of this particular type of gun. For the price, the 30 caliber round is able to get about 125 FP. On the Western Airguns website, we have the specs for the Western Sidewinder. For the 22 caliber, it gets 72 FPE, which is the same as a 22 pistol. In 25 caliber, it gets 88 FPE, but I've seen that it can get up to 100 FPE in 25 caliber with the correct pellet. And with the 30 caliber, it can get up to 125 FPE, which is about correct. I'm going to start with the 30 caliber since it's the beginner caliber to have for this gun. The Sidewinder's 30 caliber air rifle has a 12-shot magazine for starters. This is the most powerful full auto air gun you can get with a removable magazine. Using 303 47 grain slugs, it gets 920 FPS, which is significantly faster than the Hatsan Blitz at 88.35 foot-pounds of energy. I would trust those headshots. In order to get closer to what the company is claiming it can get at 125 FPE, you can use 60 grain hollow point slugs and 30 caliber. You could try a 65 grain slug in the 308. And you can try shaving down the 85 grain 30 caliber slugs by about 1.5 millimeters as well in order to get it to fit around 75 grain. If the 60 grain slug is able to travel 900 feet per second, that would be 108 foot-pounds of energy. If the 65 grain slug is able to travel 900 feet per second, that would be about 117 foot-pounds of energy. The weight of the Sidewinder is about 8 pounds, which puts it around the same weight as the BWS 45 air pistol. That pistol is really heavy. What can I say? Sidewinder, it's not that heavy for a rifle. As you can see, for coyote size game, it's recommended to have at least 30 caliber. 30 caliber for the Sidewinder delivers lots of power, around 110 foot-pounds of energy, up to 125, but I haven't really seen that yet. So commonly it's going to be around 100. You probably could also settle for a house defense situation with 25 or 22. Now that we're done with the beginner 30 caliber, let's begin with the advanced 25 caliber Sidewinder. Unlike the 30 caliber that has a 12 round magazine, the 25 caliber has a 15 round magazine and is more suited for house defense than the 30 caliber because of the bigger magazine. Getting the full auto power of the Sidewinder is to be able to match the power of a 22 pistol. Since the larger calibers don't penetrate as easily, you're going to need to be able to produce more than 70 foot-pounds of energy in order to be able to penetrate a skull. And now let's talk about the 22 caliber Sidewinder. Many experts choose the 22 caliber Sidewinder because it has the greatest FPS and greatest accuracy for a full auto weapon. The Western Airgun Sidewinder in 22 caliber has plenty of stopping power for any kind of shot placement you want to take, and it's most accurate. Just because people don't choose 22 caliber with the Hatsan Blitz does not mean that they shouldn't choose a 22 caliber with the Sidewinder. Unlike the Hatsan Blitz that might fail to kill by headshot because it can't penetrate the skull, the Sidewinder doesn't have that problem at all because it's able to shoot at 900 feet per second. Many people would switch to the 22 for the Sidewinder because it can get 72 foot-pounds of energy. You can use these 38 grain slugs that'll travel at about 920 feet per second, and that would generate about 72 foot-pounds of energy. They are about 10 millimeters long in length. For humans who have above average skull density, 70 FPE is kind of a guarantee in order to make sure that it penetrates. At 50 yards, the Sidewinder is somewhat accurate. With a 30 caliber 47 grain slug, it's able to travel 920 feet per second. What I learned from watching the 25 caliber Blitz and the 30 caliber Blitz on the coconut test is that if you choose a higher caliber, it has a greater chance of penetrating a coconut because the FPE is higher. It doesn't necessarily matter that it doesn't have as much penetration. In conclusion, just get the 25 or 30 caliber Sidewinder if you're new and you just want a good deal on a full auto weapon. For a house defense situation, you're better off getting the 25 caliber. There's better 30 caliber air rifles that you can get, such as the Texas Rattler and 30 caliber that do full auto. So the 25 caliber full auto would be best for house defense. Most airgunners would also agree that the higher caliber you go, the better. So yeah, just choose the 25 caliber because it has that 15 round magazine. The mid-grade full auto weapon gets 6th on my list. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, number 5 on the best air guns to use for self-defense list. Introducing the B&W S45 Mini 45 caliber semi-auto PCP air pistol. The BW S45 Mini in 357 and 45 caliber happen to be the best PCP air pistols in semi-automatic in the world. At the low price of $1,700, this air pistol is the first air pistol that you can use in semi-auto for self-defense and for hunting. You can carry this backpack gun while you're carrying a Sidewinder or other primary weapon. This semi-automatic air pistol gets anywhere between 150 to 200 foot-pounds of energy with 6 shots for the 45 caliber and 8 shots for the 357. With the 357, the air tank gets depleted all the way, so that's definitely why it's a sidearm only. You still want to have a primary weapon, but you can fit 2 air tanks on it to get a maximum of 16 shots all at once on a hunting trip, so it's still a very good backpack gun. If you carry a couple extra air tanks, you can get probably like 32 shots out of this sidearm. The air pistol is shooting these 200 grain hollow points in 45 caliber. It's able to shoot these pellets at around 700 FPS, a little bit slower than the rifle at 200 grain. If you're really trying to hunt coyote, you might as well just get this 45 caliber air pistol so you can hunt boar too. If there was a random gunfight and I needed an air pistol, this would be the air pistol to get. Since this sidearm can do it all, you might even want to consider getting this one first. Portability and concealability is a must. This is the ultimate truck gun. They currently only have this in 45 caliber, which only has 6 shots. Keep that in mind. That means you'll have about 24 shots if you bring 4 air tanks. There are many people that want to be able to at least match the power of a 9mm, and that's where this gun comes in handy. Introducing the B&W S45 45 caliber semi-automatic air rifle. This air rifle produces about 350 FPE of damage. That's more than enough to stop an attacker. Although the company claims it only produces about 300 FPE, if you were to use the full length of the magazine, which is approximately 15 millimeters long, you could put in about 115 grain pellets or possibly a steel-coated ammunition, but I wouldn't really know how that would affect the barrel. I would trust 300 FP to strike weak armor. This is where you might want to actually use the power. You can go to US Reloading Supply in order to get 200 grain full metal jackets. These full metal jackets will have about 320 foot-pounds of energy, which is about what the company is explaining it can do. But if you can manage to get 300 grain into this thing to fire, it will have armor penetrating potential. At 1,300 feet per second, a 147 grain bullet is going to get 550 pounds of energy. 1,300 FPS, which is the typical speed of a 9mm handgun, is still going to have more power than an air gun. Since only 240 grain ammo is available, I don't recommend using the S45 for bears.
killing bullet. They know he killed it with it, but I don't know if that's true or not, because they skinned the bear and he unloaded, you know, his whole magazine except for one shot with the Buffalo Bore Outdoorsman 147 grain, I believe, 9mm hard cast. So I mean, that time it was done. Also around the same time, 2020, 2021, there were the two bow hunters in Montana, and the guy killed a attacking grizzly that was shaking his buddy's leg like a rat, or a dog or something. They were bow hunters in Montana. The guy had a P320 with full metal jacket in it, and he killed the grizzly bear. But I want to come at this from a couple different angles. The whole reason why
Many suggest that it takes about 800 foot-pounds of energy in order to take down a bear, especially a grizzly bear, and some wouldn't trust less than 1,300. A B&W S45 45 caliber air rifle is more suitable for intruders than bears. I mainly put the S45 in fourth because of its raw power to have about a 9mm worth of energy. Most people would be scared to have anything less than that. They want to have something they know can take care of a target, and this can. Just keep in mind, if you're going for headshots, many pistol rounds are similar to each other and take at least 2 shots. The only types of guns that are going to take them down in one shot, or at least have a good chance of doing that, are the rifle and the shotgun. What I find interesting is the 30 caliber and the 357 caliber have a higher incapacitation rate with one shot. If you really want something powerful though, I would skip that rifle and just get the mini so that you can get number 3 on my list. Number 3 on my list is a real air rifle. It's the 72 caliber Zeus Gen 2. It's priced anywhere between $1,200 and $2,000. Depends on where you buy it. The 72 caliber Zeus is not a Euromax hammer. The AEA Zeus 70 caliber is advertised to have 3 good shots, but it can shoot up to 7. Now I understand that the AEA Zeus 72 caliber air rifle is a single fire shot. You're not going to get semi-automatic with that much power. However, you can't argue with the fact that 1,500 FPE is going to hurt. It doesn't matter if you have Kevlar on. A person's going to feel that. On the website, it advertises that it has 3 shots, but the gun actually has about 7 shots. At 1,500 FPE, you've got about 50 caliber pistol ranges of power. Kevlar's just not rated to stop 50 caliber pistol power. If you were to shoot someone in the leg with the Zeus and they were wearing Kevlar, their leg is still going to be broken. The 1500 FPE of power is the reason why the Zeus is number 3 on my list. To much surprise, the Zeus can actually get up to 3000 FPE of damage. If you thought factory specs at 1500 FPE was impressive, just try getting this thing to go 3000 FPE. Then, make your own ammo and load these into it. The AEA Zeus, without a doubt, has enough power to take someone out with Kevlar, and that's why it's number 3 on my list. The 72 caliber Zeus is a great weapon, but it's not going to beat number 2 on my list. Number 2 on my list is the Western Rattler in 30 caliber. It's a full automatic weapon. The Western Rattler is the superior full auto weapon for house defense. It can get up to 180 FPE, so it's going to hurt. And it's full auto. It also has a 17 shot capacity. The Texas Rattler in 30 caliber is an intermediate user's gun. It has the ability to use 120 grain 30 caliber pellets from the NSA, and if you are an advanced user, you can actually make your own pellets so that you can take advantage of the full length of the magazine in order to get more power. This is a really good weapon if you're trying to take out coyotes. Coyotes require a 30 caliber, and this delivers 180 FPE to take down a coyote with no problem. The only weakness to the Western Rattlers is the magazine cannot be removed. For some, this actually might even be a number 1 gun for California in general, because in California, you can only hunt coyotes anyway. If you can get 30 caliber armor penetrating rounds to fit, that'd be great, but there's a little chance of that happening due to the fact that these 30 caliber rounds are very long. After measuring the 130 grain 30 caliber armor penetrating rounds, I've seen that it's 27 millimeters, and it needs to be closer to 20.5 millimeters in order to fit inside of the Texas Rattler. After what I've learned, I'm going to have to say that my number one gun is a Texas Rattler in 357. I'm going to have to give it to the 357 Western Rattler because the ammunition is easier to load. You can get a pointed metal pellet to fit inside of a Texas Rattler in 150 grain, and it would deal a lot more damage to a target. I can't say for sure if it would penetrate, but I've researched that if you get a large 357 full metal jacket, it could potentially penetrate. So these pointed metal pellets could penetrate armor as well, at least small layers of Kevlar. That would make this Texas Rattler very, very dangerous and very, very powerful to own. If you take into consideration that it only takes 53 FP to penetrate the skull, you have to also consider how much energy is required for the brain matter. And the brain matter requires an additional 250 joules. Airguns of Arizona sells the Texas Rattler 357 if you're interested in the gun. This is a demonstration of them destroying some bricks with the pellets. The Texas Rattler in 357 has the power to break apart brick wall. If you take into consideration that it has 15 rounds, you'll understand why I put this above the B&W S45. Unlike the BW S45's 15mm magazine, the Texas Rattler has a 21mm long magazine that allows it to have more penetration. This would be a safe choice for wild animals. The heaviest grain you can get for the 357 Western Rattler is 190 grain. A Texas Rattler should be capable of 300 foot-pounds energy with a full metal jacket. This is the end of my top 10 PCP airguns video. I recommend the Texas Rattler in 357. This is probably the most honest airgun video you'll see online. Always be armed, always be safe. These top airguns are a last line of defense. Use them wisely. I recommend taking security guard training on how to be safe. It'll teach you how to protect yourself, your home, your family, and your business from crime. This book that I read was from Ira A. Lipman, the founder and chairman of Guardsmark, LLC. Avoid a fight if you can and call the police. Remember that it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for the police to arrive, so you may need to barricade yourself inside and always have an air gun ready in order to kill if necessary. California and other states sometimes likes to release violent felons back out onto the street after they've committed crimes, such as attempted murder, so look out. Always pray for peace, but always prepare for war. Bulletproof armor, barricades, a dog, and bulletproofing a safe room cameras can all help you. These are the 10 best air guns for self-defense in America. Please like and subscribe if you thought this was helpful, and take care.